Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm Shah and this is Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. Today I am bringing you a video all about intimidating reads. There are books on my shelves that are humongous that I've wanted to read for a really long time, but for some reason the size just keeps putting me off. So I thought I would go through my shelves, pick out the books that I really want to read, but the reason that I am not reading them yet is because of their sheer size, and that is what is intimidating me. So most of them are intimidating because of their size, apart from I do have one that I want to mention that isn't intimidating because of its size, but I will get to what it is eventually. Should I try picking these up? Here are the 8 books that I'm going to be talking about today. Look, there's only 8 of them and it looks like there's loads that I'm going to be talking about today and explaining why I am so gosh darn intimidated by them. So let's just start with the way that they've fallen. So first up we have The Illuminaries by Eleanor Catton. This won the Man Booker Prize in 2013 and I really remember getting this in 2013. My boyfriend at the time bought me this as a present because he knew I loved books, and I think he just went into Waterstones and saw whatever was on the table and picked it up for me. So this I know nothing about. I believe it is historical fiction and that it might be set in New Zealand. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But obviously this won the Man Booker Prize, so there must be a lot going for this book. However, it's huge. Like, that is like half of my face. That's enormous. For some reason, despite how beautiful this cover is, and I mean look at it, it is absolutely stunning, I've never been able to pick this book up, even though it's irresistible, masterful, compelling, dazzling, all of these things, as well as stunning, and it must be amazing. It won the Man Booker Prize. I have never been able to pick this up, even when it was like one of 5 books on my shelves when I was at university. Next we have It by Stephen King, and we all know why this one is intimidating. It's over 1,000 pages, so it's absolutely massive, but as well as that, it is about a killer clown, and I'm terrified of clowns. Clowns are potentially my biggest irrational fear. I actually really enjoy Stephen King when I do read him, even though I've only read a couple of his books and most of them are his fantasy books. I've read 1 or 2 of his horrors. I don't know if I've ever read them in full though, you know. I think I always give up because horror ain't my thing. And I have seen both of the new films with my dad. There's something that me and my dad enjoy together. However, I have never read the book, and this was picked for me by my friend as a book that I will rate 5 stars. One of my really close friends is doing a PhD in horror films, so she tells me to read this book and thinks I will love it, and clowns. Then we have The Theatre of the Gods by M. Soudain. I mean, look at this cover. It's gorgeous. This book I've had for about 5 years now. I got this back when I was living with Kitty G at university, and we were going to buddy read this together and just never did because look at the sheer size of this. However, this looks absolutely amazing. The premise is space pirates, and that is all I want to know because when I do go into this one, I want to be like overwhelmed by it. I want it to just absorb me. I want this book to be fantastic. I don't remember what Caitlin said about this book, and I've never seen anyone else talk about it, but look at that. It's stunning. I believe it's like steampunk pirates and space exploration and all that fun stuff. So I think I will love this when I do eventually get to it, but something about it is so intimidating to me. But the cover, The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan, and I've actually read half of this book before, however gave up on it. Me and my friend Lisa bought a copy of this to read, and it was when I was in the midst of my 2-year reading slump where I just couldn't read anything, and I got about halfway through this book, but I think because it was so slow and I was in my slump, I did end up giving up on it. It wasn't bad, it was just taking me so long, I was getting so stressed, and because I was so slumpy, I couldn't persevere with it. This is about a world where the magic system revolves around dragon's blood, and different coloured dragons' blood has different powers, and they are searching for, is it a red dragon or a white dragon? There isn't a blurb on this book. There is one particular type of dragon that is incredibly rare, and therefore the blood and the power associated with that blood is incredibly rare, and there are rumours of one of these dragons, and a bunch of people try and hunt it down. That is all I really know about this book. But while I was reading it, and like I said, I got about halfway through, which is about 300 pages of this book. Let me have a look how long it is. This is a nearly 700 page book, and I think I got about 300 pages in, so not quite halfway. None of the dragon stuff had happened, so I think I just ended up putting it to the side because of that. But it is one that I still really want to get to because dragons and fantasy, I think I'm just intimidated by fantasy. Okay, and the rest of these books are not quite as big, but they're still quite intimidating for a number of different reasons. So the first is A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James. This is another book that won the Man Booker Prize. It won it in 2015. This again was bought for me by a boyfriend. I think my boyfriends just hear reader and then buy a book that had won an award because they don't know what else to get. This book is about the attempted assassination of Bob Marley. So this sounds fascinating. It has a lot of Jamaican history, I believe, and is also a crime novel. This is a book that my sister picked for me on the 5-star predictions because she thinks that I will love it because it's a crime novel and I work in criminal justice. However, I don't really like crime. I never read thrillers, I never read crime. Maybe this, because it's based on true life, will be a bit more interesting for me, I'm not sure. But it intimidates me for all of those reasons. It is quite a long book, it's around 600 pages, despite it not looking as big as the others. It is a crime book, which I don't necessarily like. It won the Man Booker Prize, so it's quite literary, which I associate with density. And it is about Bob Marley, who I don't actually know too much about. But I do really want to read this one, so I need to get around to it at some point. Then we have It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies, collected by Scarlett Curtis, is it? Yeah. This is a collection of essays all about mental health, and I have read part of this, but I was in a really deep depression at the time, so I had to put it aside because it was just making me really sad. It was really good. It was, you know, making me feel not alone, but also it was making me feel very sad. And there are over 70 essays in this book, so it's a big one. And even though the essays are quite short, you can get through it quite quickly. It is huge, and it is on quite an emotional topic. It's about depression and mental health, and those are all really difficult topics to read about, I think. So it is one that, even though I really want to read and have partially read, I haven't sat down and read cover to cover yet because I'm scared. This has some amazing people in it. It has one of my favourite entrepreneurs, Grace Beverley, in it. She just really inspires me to have such an amazing business at such a young age. She's great. It also has essays in from the likes of Adam Kay, Candice Carty-Williams, Charlie McCasey, Davina McCall, Fern Cotton, Matt Haig, Miranda Hart, Naomi Campbell, Reggie Yates, Scarlett Moffat. It just has so many different public figures, media figures in this book, that it's gonna be such an important read when I do get around to reading it. But it's one that I keep putting off just because it's quite dense and deep. Talking about Candice Carty-Williams, I have Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. Now, I read her essay in that collection and really related to it, really resonated with me in a way that I haven't really related to other people's mental health journeys before. I really enjoyed it. It was so deep and harrowing, but so raw and honest. And this book is apparently very similar to that. This is a very deep book about the Black experience and mental health as a Black woman, and I've heard nothing but amazing things. This again was shortlisted for a bunch of awards. I'm not sure if it won any. I pre-ordered this book, so I obviously wanted to read it, and it came out last April, so why have I not read it yet? I've learned that me and pre-orders do not go well. This book has been one that I have started several times, but the opening chapter is set in a dentist, and I have a fear of dentists. However, I am desperate to get to it. One of the girls from my book club recently read it and said it was amazing, and that it's really difficult, but amazing. And it's not even that long, so this is one that isn't on here because of its size, it's on here because of its content. Okay, and the last book, I could really put any book by this author on this list because they all intimidate me, and that is The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I've talked about Sarah Waters before. She's one of my favourite authors. I'm doing my dissertation on her, and I just think she's fantastic, but all of her books are bloody huge. Here's Fingersmith, for example, and Tipping the Velvet. They're all about 500 pages long. This is the next Sarah Waters book that I have on my TBR, but it is one that, again, I keep putting off, and I can't afford to put these off because I still have 3 more Sarah Waters books to read, and they're all like this, and I have to have them all read by October, so I need to get on that. That's about 1 book a month until I go back to uni. So I can do it if I sit down, if I knuckle down and just dedicate myself to these, but they're so huge and intimidating. This one is set in the 1940s, I believe, and it is the only work of Sarah Waters that isn't queer. And I believe it's set in this house that is haunted, but we're not sure if it's like metaphorically haunted or if it's real ghosts. It's kind of giving me Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier vibes. It has a TV adaptation that I can watch alongside this, but it scares me. So these are all the books that are on my TBR because they're so incredibly intimidating that I've had for a while now and just haven't got around to. I'm going to put these down because they're heavy. Do let me know if you've read any of these books, and if so, what did you think of them? Are they as intimidating as I'm making myself out to believe, or would they be really easy to get through? Would I just sit there and like zoom through it because I'll be hooked? Please let me know. Also, let me know some of the most intimidating books on your TBR because I know that we all have them. I could potentially do another video like this in the future because as you can see behind me, there are quite a few chunky books back there that I could mention. I just find that big books really intimidate me and I don't read them as much as I want to. So thank you for watching. As usual, I'll leave my links to Twitter and Goodreads and all that good stuff down below. Go and follow me and let's have a talk about books. And I hope to see you in another video very, very soon. Take care. Bye.